Have you ever wondered what it truly means to be a believer? What does it entail? Today, we embark on a journey to delve into the heart of the Quran, into Surah Al-Mu'minun, a chapter that holds profound wisdom and guidance for every believer. The Quran, a beacon of light in our lives, is a guide towards understanding the essence of faith and the path tread by the righteous. Among its many chapters, Surah Al-Mu'minun holds a special place. It is a chapter that touches on the core of what it means to be a believer and how this belief influences our actions, our thoughts, and our lives. This surah is not just a chapter in the Quran, it is a roadmap to a fulfilling life, a mirror reflecting our faith, and a compass pointing towards righteousness. So, are you ready to explore, to understand, and to reflect? Dive with us now into the depths of Surah Al-Mu'minun. Surah Al-Mu'minun, a chapter from the Holy Quran, holds profound lessons for every believer. This surah, composed of 118 verses, is a beacon of guidance, illuminating the path to success for those who embrace its teachings. Let's delve into the first few verses of this surah, which set the stage for the rest of the chapter. These verses speak about the qualities of successful believers. As we peel back the layers of these verses, their deep wisdom unfolds. The surah begins with a powerful statement: "Successful indeed are the believers." This is not a promise of worldly success, but rather an assurance of spiritual fulfillment, of peace and tranquility that stems from a strong connection with the divine. The first quality mentioned is humility in prayer. This is not merely a physical act, but a state of the heart, where one is fully aware of their insignificance in the grandeur of the universe and their complete dependence on the Creator. This humility is what makes prayer a source of comfort and strength. Next, the surah talks about the avoidance of vain talk. In a world that is increasingly noisy, this is a call to silence, to reflection, to meaningful conversations that nourish the soul. It asks us to be mindful of our words, to ensure they are beneficial, not hurtful. The third quality highlighted is the giving of zakat, an act of charity incumbent upon every able Muslim. It's not merely a financial transaction, but a means to purify the heart from greed and to foster a sense of community. It's a reminder that we are part of a larger whole, and our well-being is tied to the well-being of others. These verses set the foundation for the believer's journey towards success. They teach us that success is not measured by material wealth or social status, but by the purity of the heart, the humility of the spirit, and the kindness of actions. As we journey through the rest of Surah Al-Mu'minun, these lessons will be further illuminated and ingrained in our hearts. What does Surah Al-Mu'minun teach us about morality and righteousness? This question is a stepping stone into the heart of the surah's teachings, which are deeply rooted in moral and ethical principles. As we continue our verse-by-verse exploration of the surah, we encounter a series of profound teachings. These teachings, like precious pearls in an ocean of wisdom, guide us towards a path of righteousness. One of the key teachings in Surah Al-Mu'minun is the importance of guarding one's chastity. This is not just about physical chastity, but also mental and emotional purity. In today's world, we are constantly bombarded with images and ideas that can lead us astray. The surah reminds us to guard our minds and hearts and to keep our intentions pure. The surah also emphasizes the importance of keeping trusts and promises. This is a fundamental aspect of morality, as it forms the basis for all social interactions. When we make a promise, we must do everything in our power to fulfill it. When we are entrusted with something, we must guard it with our lives. This is not just about material possessions, but also about trust, love, and respect. The surah further instructs us to maintain our prayers. Prayer is not just a ritual, but a direct line of communication with our Creator. It's a time for reflection, gratitude, and seeking guidance. By maintaining our prayers, we align ourselves with the divine rhythm of the universe, and we find peace and tranquility in our hearts. These teachings of Surah Al-Mu'minun are not just words. They are a way of life, a path of righteousness. They guide us towards a life of morality, integrity, and spiritual fulfillment. They help us to navigate the complexities of this world and to find harmony within ourselves and with others. So what does Surah Al-Mu'minun teach us about morality and righteousness? It teaches us to guard our chastity, to keep our promises, to maintain our prayers, and to live a life of integrity and respect. These verses provide a clear roadmap for leading a righteous and moral life. The surah doesn't only guide believers, but it also warns of the consequences of disbelief. As we journey further into the Surah Al-Muminun, we come across verses that articulate the repercussions of disbelief. They serve not only as warnings, but also as reminders for mankind, urging us to reflect on our actions and beliefs. The verses speak of those who deny the day of judgment. They are portrayed as individuals trapped in a web of ignorance, their hearts sealed from understanding the truth. This metaphorical blindness, a result of their own choices, leads them astray, far from the path of righteousness. The surah paints a vivid picture of the consequences they face. It speaks of a life filled with regret and despair. Their disbelief not only affects their spiritual journey, but it also manifests in their worldly lives, leading to a life devoid of true contentment, peace, and fulfillment. The surah further elaborates on the fate awaiting those who deny the day of judgment. It describes a bleak and desolate afterlife, a stark contrast to the gardens of bliss promised to the believers. This imagery is potent, instilling a sense of urgency and encouraging introspection. These verses also serve as a reminder of the transient nature of this world. It highlights the impermanence of worldly pleasures and possessions, urging us to focus on the eternal journey that awaits us beyond this life. The warning is clear: disbelief comes with a heavy price, but this is not just a warning, it is also a call to action, a plea to open our hearts and minds to the divine truth, to seek knowledge, and to strive for righteousness. As we continue our exploration of Surah Al-Muminun, let's carry these reminders with us. Let's remember that our actions in this world shape our journey in the hereafter. Let's strive to live a life of belief, righteousness, and compassion, for it is only through such a life that we can hope to attain eternal peace and fulfillment. The cautionary tales in these verses remind us of the transient nature of this world. As we reach the end of Surah Al-Muminun, what are the key takeaways for us? This question nudges us to reflect upon the profound wisdom and guidelines that this chapter of the Quran presents. In this journey of understanding, we've uncovered the essence of Surah Al-Muminun, the path of righteousness it illuminates, and the consequences of disbelief it warns us about. Let's take a moment to summarize the key points we discussed. First and foremost, success in the eyes of the Quran isn't measured by worldly achievements or material possessions. Instead, it's characterized by the qualities of faith, humility, and moral rectitude. Surah Al-Muminun begins by identifying the traits of successful believers. They are those who are humble in their prayers, who avoid vain talk, who are active in deeds of charity, who guard their modesty, and who are faithful to their trust and promises. This chapter further accentuates the importance of ethical living. It urges us to respect the sanctity of life, to be just and fair in all our dealings, and to fulfill our responsibilities with integrity. It also emphasizes the significance of maintaining a balance between worldly pursuits and spiritual growth. In terms of warnings, Surah Al-Muminun starkly illustrates the consequences of disbelief. It reminds us that those who turn away from the divine truth will inevitably face a day of reckoning. This sobering message serves as a deterrent against arrogance, materialism, and moral degradation. Now, as we reflect on these teachings, it's essential to consider their relevance in today's world. In an era where success is often equated with power and wealth, Surah Al-Muminun presents a different perspective. It encourages us to strive for moral and spiritual success, to lead a life marked by humility, charity, and righteousness. In a world where ethical boundaries are frequently blurred, this surah's teachings stand as a beacon of moral clarity. They remind us of our responsibilities towards ourselves, our fellow beings, and our Creator. They guide us to live with integrity, fairness, and respect for all life. And in a time when disbelief and materialism are rampant, the warnings of Surah Al-Muminun serve as a powerful reminder. They remind us of the transient nature of worldly pleasures and the eternal consequences of our choices. As we reflect on these teachings, it's crucial to remember that the path of righteousness isn't a destination, but a journey. It requires continuous effort, steadfastness, and a willingness to grow and learn. As we ponder over Surah Al-Mu'minun, let it serve as a compass, guiding us on the path of righteousness and success. Let its teachings inspire us to strive for moral and spiritual excellence, to lead lives marked by humility, charity, and faith, and to make choices that align with our highest values and principles. Let it remind us that true success lies not in what we acquire, but in who we become.